Welcome back to the Ugly Games YouTube channel. My name is Justin and I'm here today to talk to you about character classes. In the process of making a TTRPG, eventually you're going to have to make the rules for how a character is created. While character creation is another video entirely, one of the parts of character creation in your game could be classes. Now I say could because not every TTRPG has classes, but those games are another story for another time. So, what are classes? A class gives a character different stats and abilities based on their class's theme. For example, a fighter class will likely contain more battle abilities than not. Likewise, you'd expect a magician class to have magical powers as their abilities. But classes aren't just explorations on a theme for the hell of it. They're secretly a way for game designers to manipulate the way in which players play the game. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that a healer class and a damage dealing class are going to be essentially playing different games. One will be healing people and keeping them alive. The other might be acting as a tank, soaking the damage for the party and dealing plenty of damage themselves. Each different class has different roles within a party. And it's your job as a designer to make all of those roles fun, well-rounded, and diverse so they're not just doing the same thing all the time. But when you get those classes right, at least for me, that's one of the big things that gives TTRPGs such replayability. Campaign after campaign, one shot after one shot. I keep coming back for more because there's so many different experiences to be had. And part of that, I believe, has been due to the class format. A benefit of using classes in your TTRPG is that a player can pretty quickly jump in and start playing the game without learning all the rules beforehand. You slowly get fed new rules and abilities as you level up, so basically you get to learn as you go, which is great for new players. So if you want your game to have a broader appeal and make it easier to get into, maybe consider using classes in your TTRPG. Alright, now we're there. I've told you what classes are, maybe I've sold you on using them in your TTRPG, but the question is, how? Well, in theory, it's quite simple. You make a bunch of abilities and put the weaker ones in the first levels and the stronger ones in the later levels. But in reality, that takes a lot of time. The abilities need to be on theme, they can't be too strong, they can't be too weak, they have to be just right, and that takes time. You just have to work at it, trial and error, until you get it right. When do you know you've gotten it right? Well, that's an interesting question because you'd think the answer is when it feels right on paper. But in my opinion, you never know if it's right until you playtest it. Playtesting will find the holes in your work, believe me. It will find things that don't make sense. It will show you the systems you've yet to even start on. So I figured today we'd actually go over one of the classes of our game Awakened, the shooter. The first level ability is one that should be in some way representative of the class as a whole. We decided to give the shooter something called Pistol Whip. This ability allows the shooter to hit a target within one block with the butt of their weapon, causing the target to flinch and allowing the shooter to make their exit so they can continue as a ranged player. For the shooter's second level ability, we get to the ranged abilities. Second level gives them Split Shot. If two enemies are beside each other, the shooter is able to split their shot and attack both creatures. Importantly, this ability costs battle outcome points, so it's not an ability they can do all day. For level 3, we decided to give them what we call Competency. We give these to all of our classes, different levels, but this gives them a permanent +2 to their ranged attack rolls, because we figured the more you use your weapons, the better you get at them. Level 4, we give them access to exploding ammo that does an extra d6 of damage. This also costs battle outcome points to do. Level 5, we decided that they'd get a second shot on their turn. Level 6 is where they get the Strafe ability. For some battle outcome points, they're able to shoot up to 5 enemies in a certain space. 7th level, we took a bit of a step up and gave them a precision shot that they can call on for a larger amount of battle outcome points. This move assures you that you'll hit with an attack, and you do the maximum amount of damage that you can do with one shot. Level 8 is the Net Shot. It allows the shooter to shoot a net rather than a bullet. If it hits, it incapacitates the enemy until they break out. The 9th level gift is Disorienting Shot. If this shot hits, it can blind or deafen your opponent. And finally, for level 10, we have Called Shot. This allows you to call your shot at the enemy's legs or arms. If you hit the legs, they lose a massive amount of movement, and if you hit the arms, they become inefficient with their attacks. Hopefully this gives you a little insight into our method of creating classes. Alright, that's the video. Have any questions for future videos? Leave them in the comments. Alright, stay ugly.